I was sitting down for a bit and my mind was just on the aspect of RE9, and honestly for the past month, when hasn't it been for me? And possibly future games and who and what the state of RE could potentially be like. This video does have some talk about RE9, but not entirely, I guess. I don't know, I'll figure this out when I finish the script. But listen, this is just all a big fantasy in my mind and how I overthink a lot of things. But I mean, who doesn't unless you run a YouTube channel and you're insane and you need to be put down. But anyways, I want to talk about how each RE character stories can possibly end in the most realistic way possible. And I want to essentially go down the list for the main 5 or 6 characters. So before I start, I want to get something out of the way really quick. Well, actually 2 things. Number 1 is my second channel. I've been working on this for about a month or 2 now, I believe, and it's gone extremely well, and I hope to continue doing so in the near future. It's got nothing to do with Resident Evil at all, so if that's a turnoff, I understand. But if y'all fuck with me and my personality and whatnot, I'm gonna link my second channel in the description and in the pinned comment, so y'all can see what it's about. I'll give you a quick rundown. It's about childhood animes and whatnot. I'm passionate about it and I really love what I have going on over there, so I would really appreciate if y'all went over there, checked out the content and subbed. I'm really close to 1,000 subscribers, so I hope that y'all mess with me pretty heavy. Secondly, a person who has helped me with my YouTube videos a lot recently has been a guy by the name of Raccoon City Pizza, helping me with sources and whatnot. He's also a YouTuber about Resident Evil and he's just started recently, so I would appreciate it if y'all went over there and showed him some love. Also, thank you for the help on the vids, I appreciate it. But without further ado, let's finally get into it. I'm going to start off with the character that a lot of fans are misguided on, I guess, about his fate. Chris Redfield has teased the BSAA plot and is one of, if not the main potential character for RE9. A lot of fans have been saying that if anyone of the main 4 were to die, it would be him. This is where the RE8 DLC comes in. I understand people keep forgetting about this because week by week I'm feeling the same way, but the more I see comments on the fact of him being killed off always brings me back to the DLC. 16 years later, after the events of RE8, Chris is still alive and kicking it in the BSAA, but he's old as shit. Now, what role has he possibly taken? I have no idea, but if I had to guess, he's probably in the Clive O'Brien role, where he's just, I believe, the director and has retired from on-field work, and maybe help developing young soldiers in the BSAA. I can legitimately see Chris doing a role like that. Guy's already in his 50s, he can still kick ass, don't get me wrong, but it's gonna get to the point where it's like, okay, I think you're good now. Don't get me wrong though, I'd love to see Chris as a playable character before he goes off and does whatever he wants to do. I just don't think he's a guy that'll just go off the grid and live a private life, but there's another character who I think will do just that. Now let's talk about Chris's partner, Jill. She's in a situation where she has to come back in a game after 15 years. The CGI movie was cool and all, but it just makes us want more if anything. Also, the thing about her slow aging means that she could possibly be playable in the near future. She'll probably be 60, and she'll move like she's in her 40s and maybe still in her prime, I don't know. She was doing completely fine in Death Island and I don't see a sign of her slowing down. The only thing is her aging, that's it. But if she ever decided to put the gun down, I can see her being some sort of co-director with Chris. It makes total sense where it's like, the both of them founded the BSAA, so let it be 50-50 again. And I don't see her being killed off. If they did that, they should have just stuck with her dying in RE5 if anything. And I don't see her dying in the future, it would just be fucking stupid. If she doesn't decide that role, then I guess she could be like a stay-at-home mom or wife. I have no idea personally. I just think there's more room for her for anybody in the main 4. I want to know how she carries herself after the trauma and stuff that she went through with Wesker. I don't think Death Island expanded on it enough as I wanted it to, so I'm thinking if she's in 9 or 10, whatever future game, it could do well for her character. Who knows? Now let's talk about Chris's sister. Does anybody else feel bad for her about the fact that her only number titled game is RE2? I get Code Veronica was really big for the story, but since RE2? Are you kidding me right now, Capcom? She's definitely my least favorite of the main 4, but I mean, you gotta give her more opportunities. I get Revelations 2 is a very underrated game, but that bitch did not sell well whatsoever. The CGI roles she has been in have been fucking terrible. Don't get me started with Infinite Darkness. She deserves a lot better than what she has gotten, and I want a game with her very soon. She is the least trained of the main 4, so if you were to make a horror game with one of the original characters, but want to keep the horror as the main emphasis of the game, she is a damn near perfect candidate. Now, let's talk about the position she's in inside the RE world. You guys know how Rebecca put the gun down and has basically just become a doctor, and Chris is just straight guns blazing? Claire is in the middle of it with TerraSave. I guess you could say she has put the gun down, but if she's got to get down on business, then she'll stand on it. She's still capable and I would love to see her come back. Now, if she retired, what could she possibly do? I see the exact same thing with Kristen. She becomes like this main director or the head of TerraSave. I can also see her just living a casual life as well. I think she deserves it and wouldn't mind doing that. I remember this rumor months ago where she was supposed to be killed off in RE9, and I'm just like, what for? To just dump more trauma on Chris? It doesn't make sense, and I just don't see Claire dying like that at all. Not one bit. Now, this is where the angry comments and dislikes are probably going to come in here. Leon, listen, I've thought about his outcome way more than anybody because it's just something Capcom can possibly do and take such a high risk on. So let's put ourselves in his shoes. Of all the original characters, he is the guy to express the most amount of tiredness in his job. Like his heart isn't in it anymore, and it's just his body and his soul is elsewhere. You don't believe me? Watch Resident Evil Vendetta. I can 100% see him go off the grid and go to a small town and we never hear about this guy again. I just feel like he's on the brink. The drinking problems have been going on since Damnation. I pray for his liver, honestly, but I hope he's given up on that and has reasons to keep going, if anything. Now, is it with Ada he leaves with? That's another discussion coming up. I can see him in 9, 10, or whatever game he's in. It's his last, and it makes sense to me in my opinion. Plus, you can remake RE6 if you want more Leon content. I'm satisfied with what I've had with him in the RE universe. No matter what happens, he's my favorite character of all time. But realistically speaking, what is left for him other than the teasing with Ada? And will they, won't they kind of dynamic? You know what I mean? Like, I tried coming up with something, I just don't see it. He got blackmailed into the government, and if he didn't do something bad was going to happen to Sherry, and he didn't want that. I can see him leaving for good with Ada or without her, who knows, but I'm not gonna lie, I can also see him die. You gotta do it in a game and build it up unless you want to snatch my heart like how MW2 did with Ghost. Fuck you, General Shepard. He's the only one I can see die. I get it's bad marketing, but if his story is done, then why would he be in more games? I obviously don't want him to do that, but I can see it happening. Now let's talk about Ada. She's in a little bit more of a tighter space and bubble comparing to others. She's basically a work for hire, whatever it is, and she'll do what she can as long as she either gets paid or sees Leon again, who knows. And also the fact that there's still a ton of mystery to her character. We really don't know what her actual name is, but I feel like Capcom just dug themselves a deep hole where it's like, no matter what her actual name is, she will still be Ada to all of us. She's been in every game with Leon. Will that streak ever break? I honestly hope it does, because I think she deserves her own game. It doesn't have to be a main title, but it can be an Ada thing, I guess. How can her story end though is either with Leon, she dies, but honestly if she did, I would have stuck with it in 2. Or maybe RE6, I don't know. Or she leaves altogether and does the same thing with Leon but just by herself. I'm just going to quickly touch on Rebecca as well. I hope Revelations 3 happens, and if she is the main character, good, because she deserves more than one game. Also, she'll be a doctor as long as she's around, and I can totally see it happening for the next 15 years. She's in her early 40s, but I think that's still young, you know what I'm saying? Either way, I mean, don't abandon that series for the sake of the remakes. If you just want to keep the Revelation series going, just give it to M2 or somebody. I mean, I think that's what I would do personally, but I hope. Now listen, this is all on my mind, if anything, and none of this shit is confirmed, obviously. I love imagining stuff and drive discussion. I don't know if the stories will ever end, honestly, but if they do, that's how I hope they go down. Now, obviously, you guys have full freedom of letting me know about your thoughts in the comment section along with how you think the story should end, or honestly, if you don't want them to. Let me know about that. Also, don't forget about my second channel once again if y'all want to keep in touch with me. If Resident Evil ever ends up getting into a dry spot with content, I'll be on that second channel. If y'all enjoyed this vid, don't forget to leave a like and hit that sub button, and as always, I'll catch you guys in my next video. Peace out, and much love.